Make sure we clear. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, welcome to another episode of Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. I'm your host, Manager Marty. So glad to be here with you all today. We have a lot of boxing to talk about. I want to do something that I haven't done in a while, and that is be extremely focused on breaking down the intricate details about the business of boxing with regards to not just how professional boxers get paid, but more importantly, how do professional boxers go broke? I think that is the topic of discussion that usually don't get talked about. I mean, I'm not going to say it's taboo, but it's one of those topics that are very sensitive in nature, and by right it should be. But we need answers. And so I have to be the one, and I'm privileged. Let me say I am privileged to be the one, to be able to break down the business of boxing, even with this sensitive topic. I mean, think about it like this. And I promise you, I'm not being condescending at all when I say this. But you're not going to find it nowhere else. Nowhere else. Well, the proper grammar is anywhere else. So let me be more grammatical and proper. You won't find this information anywhere else. I hope that other content creators are watching live and living color. And if they're not, hopefully they can spin the block, bust a U-E, as we say in Philly, bust a U-turn, and watch this information so they too can be educated on the business of boxing. Because it's a topic that most people don't talk about. And of course, most people in the YouTube boxing community on this side of the equation as content creators don't know nothing about it. And so, of course, I have to be very resourceful and being the one who's privileged to provide the information and the education. Okay? Now, with that being said, I'm going to tell you the reference that I'm going to use, which is where this came from. There's a recent interview. I'm going to break it down in 1 second. I'm waiting for more family members to come and join the cookout first. But a recent interview that was sent to me by a good friend of mine, shout out to him. He's probably watching live and living color, my guy. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll the Tape film crew, Mr. Pragmatic. And the thing about it is this. This video is very, very interesting because Michael Moore, the first southpaw heavyweight champion of the world in our sport, he spoke on it. I'm going to replay some of the excerpts of the audio portion of the interview that was conducted by FightHype.com. And I'm going to break down what Michael Moore was saying, but I want to fill in the blanks. There were so many blanks that were in between spaces of the things that he was saying. Because if you just listen to the interview, I mean, it sounds like the business of boxing is so egregious, that it might turn your stomach. Might even turn your eyes away from the sport. Might make you want to turn your head completely. But I want to put some things in perspective from the business aspect of what we do here on the Roll the Tape podcast and what I do in the business of boxing. And so before I get to that, let me introduce myself. To some people who may not know exactly who I am and what I do and my background. And the reason why I can say that is because in the last 30 days, I've garnered about, I want to say over 700 subscribers that are new to the Roll the Tape Film Crew audience. And so we have people that's watching live and living color right now. And we also have people, you know, that are going to watch the replay of this live. Once again, each and every last one of you are welcome. If you're watching the replay of this live, come on, have a seat. This is what we do. We do this over here. Come on, have a seat. Grab you a plate now, because you're going to learn something today. I'm breaking the whole business down today. Come on, grab your plate, okay? But here's the thing about it. I'm going to need y'all support. I am. I'm going to need y'all support because, you know, these groceries are not free. I give y'all fresh bread every time y'all see me. So what happens is that YouTube does a wonderful job. Now, they do take 30% of everything you give. They do. I mean, that's just what it is. It's just business. It's never personal. It's just business. But any contribution will help to defray the cost of the expenses associated to continue to give you fresh bread, quality content. And so I say all that to say that if you want to contribute to the channel, you can do so in numerous different ways, one of which is through Cash App. You can do that at any time during this broadcast and later, but I would prefer you do it while we're live so that you can get something in exchange for, you know, you contributing to the channel. The Cash App is $Manager Marty. All right. Now, with that being said, there's another option that you may have. We all know the option if you're accustomed to YouTube, and that's the super chat. When you do that, I'm going to acknowledge whatever question or comment that you make publicly in exchange for your contribution to the channel. It is greatly appreciated. I also have the option that is on the channel somewhere called the join button. You can do the join or the super thanks. When you join, you'll become an official supervisor of the Roll the Tape Film Crew, even though you are a subscriber as a Roll the Tape Film Crew member. All right, so you'll be a member of the channel. We got perks coming your way. Listen, I got to tell y'all this before I forget. Merchandise is dropping soon. I know some of you may have heard me say that a few months back. We putting things together. Just got a new graphic designer on it. So we're still building and developing some creative, how can I put that? I guess a creative foundation, right? Because I don't want everything to be all outrageous. Just certain things that, you know, that can appeal to you, the audience, and those of you that have been supporting me from day one. We over 1.8 million views, 1.8 million in about almost, I want to say about a year and a half, almost 2 years, 1.8 million. And it's because of your support. So please do not hesitate to contribute to the channel. Not just today, but just in general. But even, of course, today, when we go live, when we publish the content, every dollar and or penny, it helps to support the channel and also to continue to be able to produce the content, to put thumbnails out. All this stuff costs money. You know, YouTube gonna take 30. And I respect it because it's called good business. But all I'm saying is any contribution helps to continue to build and grow this channel, to give you all the boxing knowledge that you all crave for. I'm talking about the real knowledge behind the scenes that I'm gonna break down the business today. That's why I got my uniform on today. Yeah. I got the uniform and we're gonna talk business today. And you're gonna learn something. I'm gonna give you something that you can walk away with and say to yourself, I did not know that before today, before I encountered the Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty, and I'm glad you're here. And I have to say this again. You ain't gonna find this nowhere else. You ain't gonna find it nowhere else. And this is not a knock on nobody when I say that. I just say that to let everybody know that some people let me reframe that. Majority of the people don't have the knowledge or the experience to talk about it on their channel. And that's okay. That's why I came on the scene, and everybody can learn and we all can grow and learn from one another. Now, with that being said, let's get that out the way. Now, as we already know, Jaron Boots Ennis will be fighting David Avanesyan July 13th. We know that. All right. I just found out about it this morning. But we all basically found out around the same time. And Jaron Boots Ennis is fighting. Of course, it's a hometown reunion. We're going to call it the hometown reunion tour for Boots. Fighting right here in the city, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the hometown. He's going to fight here, David Avanesyan, July 13th. Now, of course, we know that Crowley, that's his name, Crowley, he was supposed to be Boots' opponent originally, but the physician failed him due to him failing his eye exam. You know, this is all standard practices in boxing. He failed his eye exam. I think he was coming off of an eye surgery a while ago, he said in the press conference, but unfortunately, he had to drop out. If this was a situation where this happened earlier on in the promotion and Boots wasn't doing so well with the tickets selling, you know, sometimes, unfortunately, the promoter has to pull the plug. But fortunately, in this case, Boots have sold, from what I understand right now, over 11,000 tickets. And that's nothing to sneeze at. That's actually a good thing, especially at the Wells Fargo Center, where our Philadelphia 76ers NBA basketball team play at. That's pretty impressive. So he sold, and I'm not saying it was just him. I'm sure some people that was trying to support Crowley. But the bottom line is there's over 11,000 tickets that have been sold. And I want to give Eddie Hearn his flowers and give him credit. And I've done this last week, but I want to do it again since I'm on the topic. Eddie Hearn, the promoter of Matchroom Promotions, did a tremendous job with making sure that these ticket prices were extremely affordable so that everybody can get the opportunity to enjoy this live event. And the reason why I say that is because if you got to look at the timing, see, I'm gonna break this thing down for y'all right now. This live right here. This live right here, save it to your playlist. Because when this live is over, you might want to replay it all over again because you might miss something that I say. And that's okay. All right. So you can always feel free to keep replaying because I want you to learn the business. That is the premise of why and how I built this channel, off of the fact that I wanted to provide business education, and of course, entertainment to you all, the audience. Now I'm gonna give my background of who I am to all of the new members of the Road to Take Film Crew family, and those of you that just don't know, even if you've been watching me for a while. But before I do that, I got to give Eddie Hearn credit. See, it's all about timing in boxing. Timing in boxing is not just formidable inside the ring. It's also formidable outside the ring, okay? For us, businessmen in the sport, managers, promoters, all right? It's very, very, very important. I'll give you an example. So it's summertime, right? Especially in a big city like Philadelphia. Most schools, and this is not just in Philly, I mean, this is all around the country, but I'm just using the city as an example so that you can understand the demographic that the promoter is targeting. It's not just hardcore boxing fans. You know, as boxing promoters and boxing managers, we are trying to galvanize the business, audience, but also the casual boxing fan. We know the hardcore boxing fans are going to come out. We get that. But the business audience, the casual audience, we're trying to make an appeal to those demographics as well. All right. So look at the timing of this. trying to teach you something about the business, okay? It's the summertime, all right? Most high school, all the high schools, of course, even high school and even grade school or middle school, right? Or what do y'all call it? Junior high? Some of y'all call it junior high. We call it middle school here. Most of our youth, particularly in the city, and this is all around the country, but I'm using Philly as an example, are graduating. So of course there's monies that parents will have to, and resources that they have to exhaust, to celebrate graduations. And then you have weddings. Then you have family reunions during the summer, right? Then you have for junior and senior proms, right? And parents go all out for junior and senior proms. 8th grade dances, right? Vacations. So when you look at all the different reasons of why people have to spend their hard-earned money, sometimes it can get in the way of fights that may not be as a big extravagant event, such as a Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence, which happened in July of last year. Okay, so you got to figure out, how can we as a business compete with, the other opportunities that the fans, the business audience, the casual audience, will have to come to this event, on top of them being able to pay monies and have, obligations and responsibilities in their lives, right? So to make the pricing affordable so that everybody can get the opportunity to enjoy the live boxing festivities, I have to salute Eddie Hearn. Now, of course, when you got a promoter whose newly signed boxer is with the promotion, that newly signed boxer have high expectations. So you got a promoter that might say, look, this is the first fight that I'm signing a boxer. I got to make sure we do it big for this boxer, right? To show that the relationship that we're building on is going to start with the bar high, right? And sometimes it can be a letdown, especially when you have a fighter who's newly signed to a promotion company and may not do very well with, selling tickets, right? Because that's what this business is mainly about. That's what it's about. And so if the promotion doesn't go well in the very beginning of the relationship, it becomes a snowball effect between the promotion and the fighter. All right. So I think it was a great idea that Eddie Hearn, not only did he sign Boots, that was a great idea on both of their ends, but also to have it in his hometown, his first fight, and to have the tickets affordable enough. Man, check this out, right? I believe the area on the floor, it might be sold out. If you go through Ticketmaster, I think if you go through other outlets, they may have a few left. But I've seen tickets between $300 and $1,000 on the floor. On the floor section, right? That's a really good price. And so I wanted to congratulate Eddie Hearn and thank him for making the prices affordable, even though, he could have set the bar so high and said, look, we got to make sure that Boots know we're all in for him. So we're just going to make sure that the prices can be high enough where we all can not just generate revenue, but make sure that whatever he's obligated to be paid, he can be paid, but also the promoter can first recoup the initial investment and then make a profit. So double salute. I did a salute, but I got to double salute Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Promotions for putting this show together in Boots' hometown and also making the tickets and the ticket prices affordable. That's a huge venue there. We're not talking about Liacouras Center in Philadelphia. We're not talking about the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. That's not what we talk. This ain't that, as the young people say. This is at the Wells Fargo Center. And it took boldness for for Eddie Hearn to do that. And if you understood the business, you'll know why I'm saying that. Now, let's get to something else. Boots is fighting David Avanesyan. Y'all remember who he is, right? Some of y'all remember who he is, right? Y'all know David Avanesyan. Yeah. The guy who Terrence Crawford knocked out, what was that, in 6 rounds? I think it was, don't quote me on that. It was either the 6th or 7th round. I think it was the 6th round. Terrence Crawford knocked him out. Y'all remember that, right? Yeah, Terrence Crawford knocked David Avanesyan out December of 2022. He knocked David Avanesyan out. And when I say out, I want to be clear, cold when I say out. Like unconscious, out, cold, flat. He flatlined him for about, I won't about say about 40, at least about 45 seconds to a minute and a half. He flatlined him. Yeah, he did. Well, that's who I'm talking about. David Avanesyan. Okay. Now, David Avanesyan, his manager is from the UK. All right. And that's how Eddie Hearn was able to probably pick up the phone and materialize this fight quickly. You know what I mean? Because they common man, same country. You know what I mean? And I know he's from the UK because I have had several interactions with David Avanesyan's manager, from one manager to another manager. Back when them gloves were messed up. Y'all remember when Terrence Crawford, them gloves, remember them gloves were messed up? Y'all remember that, right? Yeah, right when the gloves were messed up. But anyway, with that being said, he's a last-minute replacement. And because Boots did so well in the ticket sales, and it's his hometown, you know, sometimes it could be a travesty when a promoter pulls the plug on a promotion and say, we tried to salvage the event, and unfortunately we couldn't. But in this case, the event is going to be salvaged. And because the event's going to be salvaged, then we will see a live event. And of course, David Avanesyan is the replacement for Boots. Now, with that being said, I believe that David Avanesyan is in shape. Okay? I don't think for one second that a few weeks out, not in this type of situation. Now, it usually happens in boxing where the promoter or the manager and or the matchmaker will say, interesting. This fighter over here, he's way out of shape. Hasn't fought in like 5 years. I'm being a little bit dramatic, but I think you all get the point. And not even in shape. Not in shape. Let's call him in. That happens a lot in boxing. You know, it's business. It's not personal. But with that being said, I don't think this is that situation. Only because we don't know what shape David Avanesyan is in. That's the reason why I say that. He's not from America. We don't see him in different gyms working out here where somebody can spy on him, which is what some of us do sometimes. Say, he trained at that gym over there. Go see if he's been working out. Go talk to somebody that knows something about somebody else. This is what we do. It's all about research. You know what I mean? But we don't know if he's in shape or not. I believe that he is in some sort of shape. But to be honest with you, I got to keep it 100 with you. It ain't going to make a difference. I mean, it is going to make a difference. I mean, the man is going to get paid. But I think that Boots is going to handle business July 13th as he should, you know. But it's going to be a good payday for David Avanesyan. I mean, especially when you're a last-minute replacement and you have boxing representation. Oh, listen, this ain't that. Usually when fighters are last-minute replacements, right, and they have no boxing representation, man, a promoter make a phone call and say, look, you want to fight? I'll give you this. And the fighter be like, oh, that's how much you give me? All right, cool. But when representation is in the room, like a boxing manager, a good one, say, oh, that's what your first offer is, promoter? Last minute. We have fights possibly lined up, but you want us to help save your event. So that 10 going to turn to 15. That 150 going to turn to 175. That's just me when I manage fighters. I'm just saying. Last minute? Oh, I like that. We already in shape. And we coming to win. We ain't coming to lay down. You know what I mean? So that's how that thing goes. Double salute to my guy, Biz on the beat. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Road to Tape film crew. We also got my guy, Mr. Pragmatic. Double salute to him. He's also a member of the channel, supervisor of the Road to Tape film crew. We also got Andre Smith. Double salute to him. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Road to Tape film crew. If you don't see the join button now, when this video go off, I believe, because I'm streaming live directly through YouTube, when this video go off on my channel, it should be a button that says join. It should be a button that says join. Y'all can click that button and instantly join. Let me see, make sure we ain't forgetting anyone now. I want to make sure everybody get acknowledged if they are a member of the channel. Now, with that being said, to anyone that do not know who I am, what I do, what I'm about, I am a licensed professional boxing manager, have been so for years. That is my profession in the sport of boxing. I am also a licensed sports ring announcer. I could ring announce for wrestling, MMA, and of course, my favorite sport of all time, the sport of boxing. Okay? Former amateur boxer, USA boxing judge, referee, official. Some of you that's watching have seen me at the amateur boxing events all across the country, and especially on the East Coast. So I've been in boxing just really like 25 years in total, you know, from when I first stepped into a boxing gym all the way up into where I am today. Now, when it comes to my background, I have different professional hats that I wear, but for the scope of what we're going to talk about today, as I'm going to include that in my breakdown of why boxers go broke and how they actually get paid, I am a certified credit specialist. The term is used interchangeably: credit counselor, credit specialist. And I'm also a certified tax practitioner. I'm also a financial coach and a business consultant. Those are the things that I've been doing full time for nearly almost 7 years. All right. And it helps as a boxing manager because I like to educate those fighters who are my clients when I was really, really heavy into boxing management. And when I say that, I mean it in the sense of me explaining and showing and teaching and educating them on how to protect their assets and become the business entity instead of them just being the business, right? Because that's important. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So I wanted to put that out there for some of you that may not know exactly who I am, what I'm about, what my background is. So technically speaking, I'm not really a YouTuber. I mean, these guys and ladies who have been on YouTube for many years, some of them do a good job and some of them don't. But the bottom line is, this is their profession, you know, and I respect it. You know, nobody asked me to come here to be a YouTuber or content creator. I just kicked the door wide open. That's what I did. Matter of fact, the door was cracked at first. That's how all this started. I saw a crack in the door after 2 interviews I've conducted. I said, oh, nobody on YouTube talking about? I didn't even know that there was a whole YouTube boxing community up here. I didn't know about no content creators, nothing. I didn't even know this was an entire community. Like basically what I'm saying is I was unaware that boxing media is controlled by, you know, what's being produced and published on YouTube. I really had no idea. So I just was listening, and then I looked, I seen the people, I said, oh, nobody's here representing the business of boxing? I mean, you got all these YouTubers talking about boxing, but no one has experience or wisdom or knowledge of the business aspect? No. So I have to come in and I want to educate the people. You know what I mean? So once I saw that there was really no niche for it, I just kicked the door wide open and took it upon myself to be able to educate all of you. the public on how the business of boxing works, how fights are materialized behind the scenes. And I didn't even think about getting monetized or anything like that. And thank God I am. And it's based on your support. And remember, I want to leave y'all with this on just this note, and we're going to move forward. Just a year and a half ago, most of you might not remember this, but remember, I taught y'all something. I taught you all a lot of things, but I taught y'all something important, and I want you to remember this, all right? And this is moving forward. I mean, remember everything I say if you can about the business, but I want you to remember this part so that you can understand how this works from the perspective of the judges, all right? So remember I told you that some of y'all might have forgotten. So when you look at certain, and it depends on the state that the fighters are competing in, all right? But most of the time, and you might see it this Saturday in Vegas. Sometimes Vegas will do it, but I mean, sometimes they be like, all right, we're just gonna do everybody with white tape. All the fighters are gonna have white tape. But the thing is, most states in the country of the United States will basically differentiate the fighters and the corners, their respective corners. You know, in the red corner, right? This fighter fighting out of the blue corner, right? So the reason why it's red and blue is so that the judges, right, can be able to identify who the fighters are. Now, normally, of course, the judges know who the fighters are. But what I'm saying is it just helps not just the judges, but it helps the TV networks, the commentators, the fans, help everybody identify who the fighters are. So based on what corner that they're representing, the same color of the corner they're representing is the same color of tape that will be taped around the wrist of the boxing glove. And most of you may have seen this and did not understand what that was about. So let's say the fighter, let's just say the A side, all the A sides will be in the red corner. This is how we break it down behind the scenes in the locker room. I'm trying to teach y'all something, all right? So all the A sides on the card will be, it could be red or blue, but I'm just going to use red. Red corner. All the B side fighters on this card, all right? Blue corner. So what happens is all of the fighters who represent the A side of the promotion, they will have red tape wrapped around the wrist of their gloves. And of course, the boxing inspectors, they facilitate that entire process and then sign off on the hand wraps and everything, and the gloves, of course, to make sure that everything is legal and everything is legitimate. All right, so the same happens for the B-side fighters in the blue corner. They'll have blue tape wrapped around the wrist of their gloves. I just want to throw that out there so that what happens is when you start seeing boxing matches, whether you're there live in person or on TV or your phone, and you start seeing these different colors of the corners these boxers are in the color of tape, you understand what that's about. All right? All right. Now, with that being said, let's move on. Ryan Garcia got locked up, y'all. I'm praying for Ryan Garcia, man. Oh, that's a good question. I have to answer this question. I think that's a good question. Who asked me that? Getting lost in the script. It was a question. It would be nice if you would have put that in the super chat. That would have been nice, but it's okay. Is that why the glove you're holding is because you're the A side of this? Salute. Salute to you getting lost in the script. I appreciate that. He's talking about the gloves right here. These gloves right here are part of my logo. Well, most boxing gloves are already red, right? So what I was referring to is around this area right here, the wrist of, can y'all see that? The wrist of the glove. The wrist area is usually in blue tape or red tape, right? Most times it's in blue or red, but sometimes they just put the white tape around the wrist for both fighters, But typically it's red or blue, and it's not just for professionals, right? Tokyo Hotel, if you have a question, it would be great to be able to put it in the super chat so I can be able to highlight it and see it and make sure you get your question answered properly. And then everybody else can also learn just from your question, okay? Now, with that being said, though, this don't start just in the professional rankings. I'm not talking about the tape part. What I'm talking about is the blue corner and red corner concept, all right? We do that in amateur boxing as well. The boxer fighting out of the blue corner, boxer fighting out of the red corner. We identify the boxers in amateur sports the same exact way, all right? Most of what you see in the professional rankings is like mirrored from the amateur boxing program. It's basically like mirrored, all right? That's why professional boxers understand the concept when they turn professional. They understand blue corner, red corner, blue gloves, red gloves. Because they were amateurs, they understand that. All right. All right. So Ryan Garcia then got locked up, man. And they said, I don't know if this is true or not, or if he's still in the hospital. I don't know if it was a psych ward. I don't know, but I have no idea. And the reason why I said it is because he used the term medicine. I want to read his tweet and talk about it, right? He tweeted. This is what he tweeted. This was a few days ago. Ryan Garcia tweeted, his words, not mine. I feel like I'm Ryan Spears, AKA Britney Spears. This sucks. I never hurt anyone. I've only ever loved everyone, prayed for people, and try to make a change in this cruel world. I love you, Christ Jesus, amen. And then later on, well, actually, this was the second. This was on June 9th of the day. That was the second tweet. The first one was, I'm worried. I have to be at this weird hospital and they are trying to give me medicine and they have me on a hold for who knows how long. They will determine. Pray for me. God help me. All right. So the thing about Ryan Garcia, he allegedly, and I say allegedly because he was charged, but he was not convicted. So I have to say allegedly. He allegedly damaged property in a Beverly Hills hotel. Obviously, he was there for the fights. I don't know if he just wanted the attention and not Dre. I hope not. But the thing about it is he allegedly damaged property of the hotel. And they said he damaged something in their hallways. You know, so they actually pressed charges. The hotel in Beverly Hills, actually, I didn't even know Beverly Hills had their own police department. Now, I've never been in Beverly Hills. You know they call me broke on YouTube anyway. Sipping my water. I can't afford to even fly out to Beverly Hills. That's why I need y'all super chats and cash apps. You know they calling me broke all of a sudden now on YouTube. Support the channel. Ooh. Yeah, so anyway, I had an epiphany. But Ryan Garcia, I didn't even know. Ryan Garcia got arrested in Beverly Hills. I didn't even know that Beverly Hills had their own police department. And I don't want to be facetious. I'm saying, what crimes really happen out there? I mean, everybody rich out there, right? What y'all mad for? Well, I guess robberies probably happen out there. But they did arrest him, though. And they arrested him because the hotel management, they actually pressed charges because there were damages that were incurred. I don't know what those damages are. I don't know if Ryan Garcia did it. And y'all know me, I'm always talking about protecting assets, right? Okay, I don't know if somebody who was a member of his team did it, and because he has the face and he has the notoriety and fame, he's taking the hit. I don't know. But allegedly, they said they have camera footage, surveillance footage in the hotel, and he got locked up, and they said it was him. I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, the man, I don't know how many bricks Ryan Garcia had thus far since he fought Devin Haney. I mean, it seems like ever since he beat Devin Haney, I don't know if this is him trying to get attention. And some of it probably really is, though. I don't know if this is propaganda, and some of it probably really is, though, because remember, he gets paid from posting stuff on social media. I want people to understand that. He's a social media darling. He's a social media sensation. This is how he gets paid. So when he posting stuff, man, that's some of that entertainment, right? But it seems like from April the 20th, when the fight happened all the way to today, he's been going through a whirlwind of troubles. And part of that, I don't know if he's still in the hospital, but if he's not, if he's listening to this, part of that, Ryan Garcia, you have to get a hold of your drinking, bro. That's what you're going to have to do. I done seen you on numerous videos, Ryan Garcia. You're taking a little bit to the head. And your dad publicly, Ryan Garcia's dad, Henry, publicly came out and said he believes his son drinks entirely too much. Okay? So that's all I'm saying. You know, this is the channel to hear it from. You ain't going to find that nowhere else. But if you do, I hope people are in unison with what I'm saying. You know, Ryan Garcia got to lay off of the drinking because every time he get drunk and all this, these bad things keep happening. And I always tell you, do what? Protect your brand as a professional fighter. Yes, all things. Can y'all please smash the like button? Can we have the likes congruent with the views? I don't ask for much. I really don't. Can we get the likes up? I'm not begging you. I'm just saying I'm about to drop some crazy Jews on y'all when it comes to the business of boxing. Can we at least get the likes up? That's all. Just get this one like. That's all. Can I get one? Can I get one like from at least 40 of y'all? I'm only asking for one like. Can I get one like from 40 people? Because let me tell you why I'm asking about the likes. Let me tell you what happens. The likes that we generate, and when I'm saying I'm talking about content creators, right? It allows YouTube to see through the algorithm that you're interested in what you're hearing and what you're seeing. And so what YouTube's algorithm does, it is inclined to just push out the content far and far and far and far. You know what I mean? And I want people all around the world to be educated on the things I'm going to break down through this interview. Double salute to my guy, Jeremy Austin. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll to Take film crew. And double salute to everybody in the chat as well. Once again, if you're new to the audience, feel free to contribute to the channel on Cash App. It is $ Manager Marty, super chat, super sticker, however you want to do it on YouTube is fine. You know, please contribute to the channel. You know, listen now, we have a policy over here on this channel. And the Roller Tape Film crew members can back me up on this. We don't like freeloaders. No, y'all know what a freeloader is, right? At the family cookout, never come around no other time in the family. Soon some food is involved. Soon somebody say, oh, we having a cookout. We having a party. They show up with a plate and a limiter for you. Not the plates that's already there that they're going to eat on. No, they come with a plate and a limiter for you. Yeah, so they can eat on the plate that's already provided there at the family gathering. And then after they eat, then they want to take the plate that they brought with them and the limiter for you that they brought and put food on that plate and take it home. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, you ain't going to find this information nowhere else. That's all I'm saying. Double salute to my guy, Jeremy Austin. Thank you for your contribution and your support to the channel through your super sticker. Appreciate it, man. So, yeah, Ryan Garcia, you got to lay off, Ryan. Come on, Ryan. We going to help you. Adrian Broner, you too, Adrian. I heard Adrian Broner publicly talk about his struggles with alcoholism. You know what I mean? We got to pray for these people. We can't judge them. We all got issues. You know what I mean? We all need God. So we pray for each other. All right? But yeah, come on, Ryan Garcia. All that money you got, you still ain't satisfied, bro? Man, I'm glad I'm broke. Hey, Mr. Pragmatic, you know she done called me broke. I'm glad I'm broke. Let me sip my water again. Ooh, I feel so peaceful being broke. Man, oh man. Yeah. Hey, I'd rather be broke than broken. I'll say that for another live. Cause then somebody gonna run over there. Oh, he talking about her again. No, I ain't. I ain't talking about her. That's another man's wife. Hey, you see how it happened? I done talked about somebody else's fiance. Hey, you know what's funny about that? That video I just put out on what's her name? Swift, Telly Swift, Deontay Wilder's girl. You know, on my channel, you know, 20, when you go 15 to 20,000 on my channel, that's kind of like viral. You know what I mean? That video done hit viral, man. Now watch this video right here. I'm breaking down the business of boxing. Watch this video. Don't do no real numbers. Watch YouTube. Don't even put it out. But YouTube ain't gonna push this. They ain't gonna push this out. See, I'm giving you education, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of entertainment, but more so education today. Today, I'm on my education joint today. The professor is here. And so what happens, they're gonna push it out just a little bit. But when it's come to drama and beef and controversy, oh man, YouTube gonna push that out. Hey, I respect it. It's just business. Now I have your attention. Let's get to the interview that Michael Moorer did last week. I think this was June the 5th. It was published off of Fight Hype on YouTube. And he said some very interesting things about him being broke. He said, I'm broke. And the reason why this interview happened is that he's getting inducted into the Boxing's International Hall of Fame. All right? Or should I say it the right way? The correct way to say that is International Boxing Hall of Fame. He's getting inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And he announced on this interview that he's broke. And then he started breaking down certain ways that professional boxers become broke. And he talked about managers like myself, promoters. He talked about, you know, the fighters. He talked about taxes. So I don't want to just use this interview to just educate Michael Moore. I want to use his interview as a reference to educate each and every last one of you. So as I always do on Roll the Tape, I always use real life situations, current events in boxing as what? Teachable moments. And today there will be no exception to the rule. All right?
Go ahead.
Pardon me.
No, go ahead.
See, there's no health insurance for fighters at all. So being that fighters unfortunately get some brain damage, neurological damage, I think this day and age, being that the guys are so big, I think we need to move the gloves up. Every 6 ounces go to 8s, 8s go to 10s, 10s go to 12, 12s go to 14.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there. We're going to go line for line. Double salute. Member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll the Tape film crew, to my guy, Fort Green Pharaoh. Thank you for your contribution to the channel. Fort Green Pharaoh says in the super chat, salute, manager Marty, let's air fry. Oh my gosh. Yes, indeed, Fort Green, the air fryer is warming up. Now, as many publishing always tell me, I'm doing way too much talking. So I had to roll the tape. Now, I wanted to break down something that Michael Moore just said. He just said, y'all just heard him, right? He said, there is no health insurance for boxers. Like, so in the sport of boxing, there is no health insurance. And I want to break that down like I'm going to break everything else down that he said in the interview so that we all can have a clear picture of what he said. And of course, I'm going to fill in the blanks. All right. Because I think that's important. There's always two sides to a coin. All right. So just by hearing that, the initial shock of hearing that will probably make you agree and say, you know what? There is no health insurance that's afforded to professional boxers. And you are absolutely correct. But if it's taken in the context that the sport and or the business of boxing is doing an injustice to boxers, this is where the miseducation and misinformation comes from. So now I'm going to come in and provide the business education so that we can put what Michael Moore said in one hand, what I'm going to say in the other hand, put them together and everything will make sense. So let's start there. So Michael Moore said there is no health insurance offered to boxers or is not in boxing at all. And of course, boxers suffer a lot of neurological damages on top of course, physical damages. And he's actually correct. But the reason why there isn't any health insurance in boxing is not because something egregious has taken place where the commissions or any other regulation is basically not trying to implement something that's going to provide health insurance for the boxers. It's nothing egregious going on behind the scenes. Let me tell you the reason why is because the law states that. Let me give you some examples on that. So let's use this as an example. Independent contractors, right? Independent contractors are different from, let's call us W-2 employees, right? So 1099 employee, W-2 employee, right? Stay with me now. Now, this is the tax practitioner of me talking to you now. So when anyone is a 1099 self-employed independent contractor, right? The tax laws are not the same as it is for a W-2 employee. This is I'm parking the school bus with the amber lights on. Yeah, I'm double parking it. I'm gonna come down your street in a minute. I'm coming down your street in a minute. I activated my amber lights and we're gonna stop right here. I park the bus right here. Now, in the case of an independent contractor, you, independent contractor, are the business and the business is you. I'm gonna take my time with this, so y'all gotta stay with me. I want y'all to get this. You are the business and the business is you. Okay, I'm putting the tax law in layman's terms. When you are a W-2 employee, you work and are employed by an employer, okay? With that being said, there's a 15.3% self-employment tax that's imposed here in the country of the United States. When an independent contractor, 1099 self-employed individual, right? They are responsible for paying the entire 15.3%. Okay? I just want to, so we can understand that. Y'all with me, right? So basically, 12.4% of that, we talked about that 15.3%, that goes to Social Security. And the remaining 2.9% goes to Medicare. Right? So that total 15.3%, the total amount, 15.3% of income and or revenue of the 1099 self-employee, well, that entire 15.3% is imposed that they have to pay. But in the sense of a W-2 employee, the employee is only responsible for half of the 15.3%, and then the employer is responsible for the other half, meaning responsible to pay, right? So basically 7.65% of that tax will be imposed on the employer, and the remaining 7.65% will be imposed on the employee. I'm talking about in the W-2 employee scenario, right? Now, when you are a 1099 self-employee in the country of the United States, I told you, you are the business and the business is you. You're imposed higher tax rate, okay? Now, there are some benefits that the employer of the W-2 employees have when it comes to tax deductions. And one of them is health insurance. Why? Because here's how it works. When an employer of a W-2 formed company have employees, the employer is responsible to provide some form of health insurance, meaning they have to pay into it. Most of the time, they pay the majority. Training, resources for training, right? This is by law I'm talking about. This is by law. They also have to provide resources such as outside entities to help with, let's say, counseling. Some major corporations have that as a resource because they have more money to provide that as a resource. But I'm just saying they are eligible for all of that. We talked about health insurance that they have to provide, pension plans, right? Short-term and long-term disability plans, life insurance policies, all of these different resources that a W-2 employer offers to a W-2 employee. It's not free. They have to pay for that, all right? But the benefit is that they will receive tax deductions for it. Now, when it comes to a 1099 self-employee, well, the business is you and you are the business, which means no health insurance. No one has to be obligated to train you in the profession that you're in. When you receive your compensation, and then you have to pay taxes on your full compensation, right? There's no pension plan available for you. Y'all see where I'm going with this, right? Okay, so let's put this in the context of a professional boxer. In professional boxing, the professional athlete, according to the IRS tax law, is considered a 1099 self-employee. Okay? So that 15.3% that we're talking about, that's one of the taxes. I'm just using it as a reference. They are responsible, the 1099 employee are responsible for paying that in total. The thing about it is, as a 1099 self-employee, and many of you already know this, you come in, you perform the task, right? In your profession, you're the expert. You come in, you perform the task, and guess what happens? You receive compensation in exchange for you performing those duties. And then it's over. So in the context of a professional boxer, it's the same exact thing. When a boxer compete in the ring, they basically performed a service and they receive compensation. And then when the event is over, it's done. It's no different than a plumber coming to your house. Or if you own your own business and you have an office and you need plumbing, let's use your house. It sounds more personable. If a plumber comes to your house and say, I charge, I don't know, $80 per hour. It's going to take me 3 or 4 hours to get this job done. Once that plumber performed the task, the services, the duties, you pay and compensate that plumber. When he leaves the house, it's over. Well, that's how it is. So according to law, because boxers are not W-2 employees. They're not employed by a W-2 employer. So of course, there is no health insurance or pension plan available for a Form 1099 self-employee. Y'all understand what I'm saying, right? So I wanted to make sure, even though you heard Michael Moore, a former heavyweight boxing champion, say that, you get the other side of the coin, that is not like something egregious is happening to the boxers, where someone like an agency or a governing board or a governing body, such as the commissions in our country, are trying to prohibit boxers from gaining these resources. Okay, it's by law. Double salute, my guy, Many Face Publishing. Thank you for your super chat. Really appreciate you. In the super chat, Many Face Publishing says, do boxers have pensions after boxing? Absolutely not. Just like the plumber that come to your house, there is no pension plan for that. All right, I'm just using that as a reference. So plumber, real estate agent, you can say barber, hairstylist, you name it. Any 1099, any Form 1099 self-employee are governed by the same tax laws. All right, that's the whole purpose of businesses. Watch this, I'm gonna break this down in this way. That's the reason why businesses, right? It doesn't matter their size, small, medium, and or large. They like to go, and I've done it and still do to this day, go the route of basically saving a lot of upfront costs. Because when you go into that realm of having to be a W-2 employer, there's so many expenses up front that's associated with that. And I'm talking about insurance and all other kind of expenses, so that you will have the responsibility to provide training for your employees and all the other benefits that I shared with you a few seconds ago. Whereas though those expenses are eliminated when you hire Form 1099 self-employed independent contractors. I'll give you an example. Let's look at Lyft and Uber, ride-sharing companies, DoorDash, Uber Eats. They're all Form 99. Form 99. That is a real form. I'm thinking about taxes. Form 1099 self-employees, the drivers I'm referring to. Yeah. There's no pension plan for them. There's no health insurance policy for an Uber or Lyft driver, right? It's not because Uber or Lyft or any other ride-sharing company is trying to prohibit it. It's because by law here in America, all right? So that's the same thing when we talk about professional boxers, all right? I don't want to belabor the point. Many Face Publishing said his super chat was for, that question was for the audience. And I appreciate you asking that. And if anyone want to ask a question and send a super chat in, I greatly appreciate it. You might know the answer to the question. But if you super chat and ask the question, there's hundreds of people that's watching live and live in color and the replay. Thousands might watch the replay. And they may have the same question. But if you ask, I can answer and everybody can be able to learn at the same time. So let's continue with some more things that Michael Moore said to educate all of you.
There's no health insurance that takes care of fighters these days. So I think that's fair for the fighters to be granted bigger gloves, so they don't have the brain damage or the neurological damages that boxing can occur. I think, it's something that needs to be talked about. It's terrible.
Have you ever brought that up to anybody, like the sanctioning bodies?
Nope. First time I talked about it.
Wow. Yeah.
You see how the way that the interview is shaping? Michael Moore said, it's terrible. And then because the interviewer either don't know or didn't explain what I just did, he asked, well, did you say that to me? Did you bring this up to the governing bodies or the sanctioning bodies or the commissions or whatever? It doesn't make a difference. We're talking about the laws the tax laws, the laws here in the country. It don't matter who we bring it up to. It's not terrible if you educate it on how it works. All right.
Yeah, you don't really think about it at those higher weight classes, but as you said, these guys are so massive today. It makes a lot of sense. So, hopefully these sanctioning bodies, they talk about safety and the health of the fighters.
I have a question. Sanctioning bodies. What's the definition of that?
Well, their job is to, they have these belts for folks like yourself to become champions, and they're supposed to, sponsor these fights and put money towards these fights and so forth. But you're paying fees, and supposedly the fees that are going in are supposed to go to fighters and the growth of the sport. But do we know? I mean, I guess that's the $1 million question. Is that money going back into the sport to help fighters that are in need? I think at some level, but not nearly enough, and not for enough fighters, I would say.
Okay.
What is your thoughts on it?
What are my thoughts on what in particular?
Well, when you asked about the sanctioning bodies, I think today the people that have been around still hold the ring magazine. The ring belt is as the belt. But it's a great question. I've never been asked that question. It's a great question.
You see, that's why the Roll the Tape film crew is here today and always support the channel, because people don't know the business. Even some YouTubers, really all of them, but most of them do not understand the business of boxing. Some of them that do understand the business, they don't know. They don't know. And so you have people just saying things and don't know what's going on. Sanctioning bodies are not obligated to provide like health insurance or pay for fighters that are in need. That's not what their job is. But I want to play some more because Michael Moore is about to break some money down. Let's get to the money part.
Why are they producing all these belts to collect money?
Sure.
The fighter gets nothing. Listen, this is what I thought about one day. I wasn't born in this day and age, but back in the slave days, a master would take the guy who was the bigger, the badder, the best, and take him and bet on him. Makes the money. That's still how it goes on today, it seems. Or when my era.
Mm-hmm.
So he's equating the business of boxing to slavery. He said back in the slavery days, even though none of us today, even including Michael Moore, were born in the slavery days, so we really don't exactly know if that's exactly what happened when it comes to fighters. But that was interesting to me. But now he's about to break the money part down. Let's hear some more of this. And here's the thing. I'm in no way, shape, and form criticizing Michael Moore. These are his experiences, and I think he should be able to freely express them. I just wanted to use it as a reference for all my new audience that don't know what's going on, so that I can teach you all and educate you all on the flip side of the coins that he's mentioning with these things that he feel are terrible and egregious when it comes to fighters in the sport and the business of boxing.
It's a shame how the boxing game isn't like any other sport there is. Why do you have all these commissioners in every state. Football, basketball, baseball, they don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need all these commissioners. That's taking advantage of the slave. That's what I'm saying to get an example.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing racist or anything like that.
I'm glad he said that.
That's what it seems like. It's not right. I'm broke. Most fighters in my day and age broke.
That's what he said. Michael Moore said he is broke. He said, I'm broke. We're going to talk about that. Double salute. Many Face Publishing, thank you for your contribution again to the channel and your super chat. Many Face Publishing says, Michael Moore been in some wars. It got to him. That might be true. Definitely. But Michael Moore was also training in a wild card gym. Remember back when Pacquiao was in there and they had 24/7 access? You know, 24/7, the HBO show. I saw Michael Moore on TV a couple times in the wild card gym. He was training in there. Not him competing, but him training other fighters there.
And this day and age now, where all the fighters that are, you know, trying to fight one another, you know, in the lower weight classes, they're talking about doing this and doing that. The managers are worried about how much money they're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't like is this it's just so bad. It's bad.
Yeah. I can't argue with you, Michael. I mean, you're right. There's a lot of the beauty of the sport to me is talking to people like you and getting to know people like you, and like Richard Steele is my mentor, and having those relationships. I've met so many great people, but there's so much stuff that's wrong with it. And like you said, someone like you should not be broke. You know.
What the? Whoa, wait. What did he say? He said someone like you shouldn't be broke. Well, I have to agree with him. For a different reason, though. Not for the same reason that he said it, Mr. Zimmerman. You know what I mean? He shouldn't be broke. I agree. But it has nothing to do with something being terrible in the business. Hey, listen. There's some good apples and bad apples in every industry. There are some things that I don't agree with in the business of boxing. But most of it I agree with. But the point is, everything is not bad every time we see an athlete, particularly in boxing, that's broke. As soon as a boxer become broke, you know what people say? Oh, man, there's politics in boxing. Oh, man, the business of boxing, man, it's so terrible. And I'm saying people that say that, I'm going to take my glasses off when I say this part. They benefiting financially and monetarily off of boxing. You've heard content creators say it. Don't look at your screen like that. Don't look at me like that. You heard them. You heard content creators say, man, the business of boxing is terrible. Ain't conduct not one transaction. But you heard them say that, right? Oh, man, the politics of boxing. You heard Rick Glaser say it, and you heard some other people say it. But guess what? They all saying it, and they all making money off the most terrible sport in the country. The most terrible sport in the world, boxing. But they all eating off of it. Oh, I know that's right. Can't be terrible if you in it, making money off. Oh, so it's terrible when you speak on it, but it ain't terrible for you to benefit from it. That's all. Hey, if I don't like something, I don't eat it. If I don't like something, I don't eat it. If you don't like the business of boxing, then what you eating from it for? Why you eating off the business? Why you eating off the plate of the business? You don't like it? I'm just asking the question. That's just me. So I agree with Mr. Zimmerman. Michael Moore probably shouldn't be broke. I agree. But it's for a different reason. I'm going to bring it up in a few minutes, so don't move. Stay right there.
You got to the top of the mountain, a lot of corruption.
Stop. A lot of corruption. How he know? No, I'm not saying it's corrupt, and I'm not saying it's not corrupt. I'm just asking, he said, the interviewer, how does he know? I would rather hear it from Michael Moore say it, but I'm asking how did this guy know? He don't. But see how he just said corruption? And that's what I'm talking about. People say the politics of boxing, the business of boxing is so bad. Oh, corruption. Ain't never been in the business. How you know? I'm just asking a question, that's all. I'm not mad nothing. I'm just asking. Because I'm about to break all this down in 1 second.
Boxers like that.
Yeah.
Broke, homeless. They don't have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree with him. Some boxers are broke, homeless, and don't have anything. I would have to agree with him on that. We got some former professional boxers in the city of Philadelphia. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate and it's sad. But I'm going to break down the reason for all of it in just 1 second.
But they charge all this money for belts, for everything that has to do with boxing. The fighter gets nothing but taken advantage of.
Well, I would have to disagree there with Michael Moore. He said the fighter gets nothing but taken advantage of. No, the fighter gets compensated for performing a service. See, that's the part we can't forget now. Do fighters get exploited? Absolutely. That's why I got into business. That's what motivated me to represent boxers, okay? So, of course. But what I'm saying is fighters get compensated. So it's not like boxers is going in the ring and they're not getting paid at all. They're performing a service and they are receiving compensation. Okay, so it's not that they receive nothing. No, they're receiving compensation. All right, let's put it all in perspective here.
Think about something.
Listen.
Back when I was fighting, 33 and a third was what the manager got. 33 and a third%. A promoter, 25%. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why in the fuck a promoter would take 25% from a fighter that he has nothing to do with. He's a promoter. You're a promoter. People are going to go off your name and what you've done, not of how much money you're taking from a fighter. You're taking 25% to market him. He markets himself.
All right, now let's break the business down now. See, this is why I love educating not just you all. I educate boxers every day. I educate retired boxers as well. And I'm not going to stop now. So let's talk about it. So Michael Moore talked about 33 and a third% that the manager take, and then 25% that the promoter takes, right? That's what he said. Okay. Let me be clear on something. 30% or 33 and a third% is the allowable maximum that a professional boxing manager can receive from a boxer, okay? Promoters, they have their own percentages. Could be 20, could be 25, could be 30%, right? I want to add the other side of the coin so that when you hear that, you don't automatically assume that fighters are just getting robbed left and right and it's just so bad for them. We're going to talk business. See, this is not personal. This is business. So let's take it all the way back to a promoter signing a rookie fighter. All right. Let's say rookie fighter, 0 wins, 0 losses. Promoter signs this rookie professional boxer, 0 wins, 0 losses on their record. The promoter and the manager, let's stay with this and let's talk about the whole picture now. The manager of that fighter, the promoter of that fighter, as this professional fighter is learning on the job and also moving up in the ranking systems, right? They are being pushed. I'm talking about the rookies, the fighters. 0 wins, 0 losses. It takes so much capital to be able to move a fighter in this business. Hear me and hear me good. If you forget a lot of things I'm going to say, please remember this one thing. Typically, in total, it takes between 5 to 6 years, sometimes 10 years, but I'm just being on the generous side if that fighter is that good and develop into a world champion. It takes a minimum of 5 to 6 years, really 6 years, the minimum, really, for real, for a promoter to at least, hear me now, at least recoup on their initial investment. I'm talking about if the fighter is 0 wins, 0 losses, moving this fighter up the ranks. Regional title first, got to be recognized regionally. And of course, it's locally first. Regionally, then world championship contention. It takes the manager and or the promoter to literally gain a profit after the fighter wins a world title. So when Michael Moore says that these expenses from the fighter are being incurred and being paid to the manager and the promoter, it's because the manager and the promoter, they're putting up all of the money. We are putting, the promoter, we, the managers, we're putting up all of the training expenses. That's not free. Somebody got to pay for that. Boxing gloves, hand wraps, boxing trunks. I'm just talking about training. I'm not even talking about in a live fight that no, just training. Paying sparring partners, setting up, paying the sparring, all of that. That's the job of management. Advertising, marketing. See, social media wasn't out when Michael Moore was out there. Paying the reporter to put a good, favorable story out in the press toward the promoter's fighter. That's not free. Somebody got to pay for that. How about the ring? Now let's talk about the actual event. The ring. You know, if you go to the Barclays Center, right? When you go to the Barclays Center, right? That's the home of the Brooklyn Nets, correct? Okay, so the Brooklyn Nets, they already have their basketball court set up. But if you have a boxing event right there in the Barclays Center, somebody got to get paid to tear that down and break that down. And then somebody else got to come in and get paid to build that ring and install that boxing ring. That's not free. The promoter got to pay for that. All of the gloves that you see. Somebody got to pay for that. Now, if the fighter chooses their own, that's these, big time main event fighters, they choose their own gloves. But what I'm saying, the promoter has to pay for that. That's not free. The medicals and physicals that these fighters have to take as prerequisites before the fight, that's not free. Somebody got to pay the doctor. What about a surety bond? I'm going way too deep. Y'all ain't ready for that. That's out of the scope of my point, but I want y'all to understand what I'm talking about. You know, there's police presence there for crowd control, for traffic control. The promoter has to pay for that. That's not free. What about the EMTs that's in the back of the venue with the stretcher already there? Just, in case, a fighter needs medical attention or they have to be transported in an ambulance. Somebody got to pay for that. That's not free. What about the insurance? Promoters have to pay insurance for the event, right? The promoter has to pay sales tax. I don't want to get on and on with it. My point is, none of this is free. So if a promoter has to pay these expenses every time this one fighter competes over and over and over again, and we're talking about 0-0, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, this fighter has to keep winning. What happens when a fighter get 5-0 and lose 3 straight and become 5 wins and 3 losses? Then what? What happens to the money that the manager and the promoter invested in this fighter? What happens to the initial investment recoupment? See my point? What happens when the fighter gets 10-0? Get in the ring, get knocked out, become 10-1, still got 2.5 years left on the contract and never be the same again. Then what? These are expensive. There's way more expenses. I'm just using this as a reference, okay? So that you can understand it's a flip side to the coin. So when someone says, like Michael Moore, who's a credible person, say, oh, man, the promoter take 25%, then the manager, who got paid for the airfare? These fighters are not just flying in on their dime. Somebody got to pay for that. I already put the contract up 2 weeks ago when I was proving the point about, y'all remember that? Okay then. All right? So that's all I'm saying. Put that in perspective. There's so many business expenses that us, the manager, we pay. Listen, I had to change my business model since I got on YouTube. I had to modify my business model. We put out so much money. What about when a fighter asks for loans? Somebody got to pay for that. This is what happens in the business that most people don't know, because you might have a fighter say, man, they robbed me and this and that. But the fighter, you can hear it in Michael Moore. He don't understand the business of boxing. And it's no disrespect to him, but this is why I got in the game in boxing. And this is why I'm here on YouTube to educate you all and the fighters. It's so many promoters lose a lot of money. You know how hard it is to build a world champion? We talk about Tank Davis. We talk about Terrence Crawford. You know how much the promoters had to invest? You know how much the managers had to invest for us to have the beauty as fans to see these guys and ladies go to world champion contention and then win the title? See, that's the part nobody talks about. So it's 2 sides to the coin. It's not just, oh man, they just taking a percentage. No, what it is this is the only security we have. This is the only security we have. And any of you that understand the concept of business even understand that. When you put out money and you invest, you want a return on your investment. And I'm telling you right now, it's hard to build a world champion in the sport of boxing from a manager's perspective and a promoter's perspective. You know how many people are signed to one promoter that we don't hear about? You know why you don't hear about them? Think about that. You know why we don't hear about them? Just think about it. So there has to be a way. Let's say the fighter don't sell many tickets. I'm just using that as the reference. You listen, Bob Arum said it the best. He said, promoting Terrence Crawford fights. This is a promoter that said that. The amount of money that he lost, he could have gotten a mansion built in Beverly Hills. That's what Bob said. So that's telling me he never recouped on his initial investment and barely made a profit or even broke even. But Terrence Crawford's world champion. And guess what? The promoter got to pay the matchmaker. This is a business. So it's not like, you know, the whole business concept is set up where, oh, we're just going to rob the fighters. No, the business concept is set up, but some fighters do get robbed. I'm not saying that they don't. But see, question, where was Michael Moore's representation? If he's saying all of these things, and I'm sure they happened to him, where was his representation? Because when the money was coming in, I didn't hear Michael Moore say this. And I'm not saying he shouldn't have the freedom to express himself. I think he should. But usually when fighters are getting the money, they don't say nothing about none of this stuff. They cool with it. Oh, how much you gonna get paid? $2 million? What's your cut? 33 in the third? All right, what's your cut? 20. All right, I'm cool with it. They okay with it. And then when fighters get broke and actors get broke, entertainers get broke, artists, music artists get broke, right? Now everybody start to complain. But it's like, hold on for a minute. All of the business concept existed when you was in it. So I'm just saying, and all managers don't take 33 and a third. I just want to put that out there. Once again, that's the allowable maximum amount. A manager can take minimum of 10%. Yeah, promoters don't have to take 25 or 30%. But remember, they're putting up a lot of money, not just for the fighter that they're promoting, but even the opponents, the airfare of the opponents and their crew. Of course, the amount is determined in the contract, but my point is all of these expenses, like Frank and Tank, they flew into Vegas today, grand arrivals, right? Right? Okay, then. So from today all the way up until Sunday, they have a per diem that they get paid every day for how much money them and their training staff will receive out of the promoter pocket. Every day. They got to eat 3 times a day or once a day or twice a day, however they want to do it. Airfare round trip. Hotel stay. For all of them involved. Opponent. And I'm not talking about just the main event. Guys like Tank and Frank, that's all the fighters on the undercard too now. This is an entire event. So I just wanted to be clear on that the manager and the promoter put up a lot of money. Seriously. And most of the time, we do not recoup on our initial investment. Mainly, it takes for a promoter and manager to profit once the fighter becomes a world champion. You know how long that takes? You know how long that takes? I'm just putting it out there. You know how long that takes? And that's for each fighter. So let's say a manager has 5 fighters signed to him or her. Promoter have 10 fighters signed to him or her. What happens if none of the 10 or none of the 5 make it as a world champion? That's the risk we take. Can't do nothing. Can't even recoup on the initial investment or make a profit. But those are the 10 fighters that were signed under the promotion's banner that you never heard about. You never seen them. Never seen them on TV. But they still locked into a contract because they turned into a losing record, unfortunately. Things happen in boxing. 80% of the time, promoters and managers don't recoup. I'm just keeping it 100 with you all. So when the fighter becomes world champion, that's when the manager and the promoter can sit back and say, we finally was able to recoup on our investments and have a little profit. That's what happens. Okay? I just wanted to put the other side to the coin. There's nobody else on YouTube that can tell you that but me. And if they are on YouTube, I'm waiting to hear them so they can help me because I'm the only one talking about it. But this is a business. They have to recoup on the initial investment and make a profit as the promoter. We have to, as boxing managers, recoup on our initial investment and then make a profit. That's the business concept of any industry. Like me being a real estate investor. It's the same business concept. Music industry, same business concept. You make an investment. How long is it going to take you to get a return on the investment? That's what I love about something that my brother broke that thing down to me earlier. I love the way he said that. Time. His barometer is time. And we're going to get to the management part of money. How long, if I invest $10,000 in this pot, how long is it going to take me to receive that $10,000, which is the initial investment, and then make a profit? That should be how we think as businessmen and women. You see what I mean? You ain't going to find this nowhere else. That's why I'm glad you're here. Let's move on.
He has the name. Okay. I don't understand. Then they give the trainer who the fight already 10%. The promoter and the trainer needs to switch their percentages around. And
you see that? Listen to him now. The promoter and the trainer has to switch their percentages around because the trainer is helping prepare the fighter. This is how most fighters think. But the reality of it is the trainer's not putting up his or her own money. The promoter is. That's the difference. So how can a promoter put up $100,000? I'm just using that. That's a big number. $100,000, right? In the last 8 years with this one fighter and only receive 10% of the purse. That makes absolutely no sense. But that's because Michael Moore, along with a lot of boxers, don't understand the business. That's why I came in the game to educate the fighters and make sure the promoters don't do anything egregious to them. I'm going to tell you something now and then I'm going to move on. You never heard this nowhere else. Some of y'all that been rocking with me from the beginning, you heard me say this before and I'm going to say it again. In the language of boxing contracts, the numbers that are in the contracts are locked in normally for 3 years. It's a standard all across the business of boxing. My contention has always been to promoters, when I do business with them on behalf of my client, and if I think they're a good enough promoter to help move my fighter, for my fighter to have an appeal to sign to them, my contention has always been this. If this amount of money that's allocated for the fighter in exchange for the services, I'm talking about the compensation now, if these numbers are here and they look good, the numbers be looking good sometimes. But the problem I have with that is those numbers will stay the same for the next 3 years. And promoters will say, Marty, why do you keep bringing it up? I heard another promoter call me and said that you're going to bring this up when you get into a meeting with us. You better believe I am. Because I'm representing the best interest of my client. And you know what they used to say, Marty, why you keep bringing that up? Why you keep trying to make us change the language? Because the price of eggs, due to inflation and quantitative easing. Some of y'all don't know about that. I got courses coming out real soon that's going to break down what that is. But my point is, when inflation occurs, the value of the dollar here in America decreases. So if you say the fighter's going to get paid, let's just say $30,000 for these many rounds, and $70,000 for this many rounds, and then $150,000 for this many rounds, and then if the fight is televised, getting paid $200,000 for this many rounds. You're locking the fighter in to that same amount for 3 consecutive years, when in the next 2 years, the next 2 years, the price of gas and the price of bread and the price of expenses is all going to increase. The price of his property tax is going to increase. So we got to change the language now. We got to change the numbers because we have to project. Isn't that what you're doing as the promoter? You're projecting, right? Okay, then. So now we got to make sure projection is important. I learned that from real estate investing, by the way. But I brought that into boxing management. No, projection. We got to project. Let's say in the next 3 years, he become a regional champion. Guess what's going to happen to the fighter's contract, ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew? It's going to automatically extend itself for an additional 3 years. So now, my God, I love teaching. Now the contract changed from 3 years to 6, an additional 3. So let's say we tweak those numbers a little bit in the next 5 years, according to projection. That dollar amount that looks so good today is going to reduce. We got to change the numbers now to the projection. My client can get hurt in 2 years. You know what I mean? There's no guarantees here. See, but when you don't have somebody that's representing you as a professional boxer, or you do have somebody, but they're not in your best interest. Okay, I don't care. Sign right there. Just sign it. That's a good contract. Sign it. Then I come in the game and shake it up. See how I shake stuff up on YouTube? I'm like that everywhere I go. I like doing things in decency and in order and being righteous. And when I see something that's unrighteous, I stand up and say, nah, that's not right. When I first got into this business, a lot of promoters did not like me. And they have grown to develop a liking for me because I don't stand on business. You know, people say I'm standing on business. I stand on good business. Most people that say standing on business ain't never conduct business a day in their life. You ever notice that? But my point is, I stand on good business. Good business comes from standing on integrity, standing on honor, standing on what's righteous. Because if I'm sitting there saying that this person, this human, you know what I mean, is in my best interest, and I'm in his or her best interest, and I'm sitting up there watching a promoter jerk him, I'm a nut for that. I don't get no credit for that. It must be in decency and in order. So if we're going to do business, let's do good business. Don't lock him into a contract for $30,000 for the next 3 years when you know that in the next 5 years, because we're going to win the title regionally, then you're going to extend the contract. And then watch this. Oh, my God, I'll extend it again. Win the world title within 3 years. Because I got to tell y'all this. I got to tell y'all this. Something you ain't going to hear it nowhere else. You ain't going to find it nowhere else. Once a fighter wins a regional title and then they move up in the rankings, they automatically, my goodness, they automatically go into the top 15 being ranked. And the privilege of that and benefit comes from some of these regional titles are subsidiaries to the larger sanctioning bodies, like the WBC. I'm going to leave that alone for another scope. You ain't going to find this nowhere else. I'm glad y'all here today. That's why I'm taking my time with this. I don't want you to miss nothing. And so my point is, they ranked in the top 15, and guess what? They ranked in the top 10. Now they're due for a title shot in 3 years. And then guess what happened when they become a world champion and win the title? The contract extends for another 2 to 3 years. Now you got a fighter who was 0-0, no wins, no losses, right? Who was here 3 years first. It extended to another 3 years after winning the regional, then turn around, get ranked in the top 10, fight for a world title. That's within about 2 years, 2-3 years. So now it extends again Guess what? How many years is that? Let's do the math on that. 3, 6, 9, almost 10 years. So and guess who got to keep paying? The promoter. Guess who got to keep putting the monies up for the next 10 years before this fighter wins a world title? 9 years? The promoter and manager. So that's why the percentages, 30%, man, that's crazy. 20%, man, that's crazy. That's why that's why the business is like that. I mean, tell me for the next 9 years, this is not even a guarantee that this fighter is going to even become 9-0 or 8-0. But we all taking the risk. And we can't make our money back. They go into a losing column, it's over. That's why the promoter pays the good matchmakers. My God, I'm about to break it down again. The promoter pay a good matchmaker to do what? Protect their investment. I hate to use Terrence Bud Crawford, but I have to. You see, people was like, why would Terrence Crawford re-sign with Bob Arum? He didn't have a choice once he won the WBO title. When Terrence Crawford won the WBO title at 147 when he beat Jeff Horn, his contract with Top Rank automatically extended. You see my point? But the point is Brad Goodman. He's probably the best, if not the best. He's definitely one of the best. Got my vote. He is a Hall of Famer as well. Matchmaker for Top Rank. Look at the way, my God, he's one of the best. Look at the way he matchmake top ranked fighters. He's controlling the investment and protecting the investment of the promoter. That's what he get paid for. That's what Bob Arum pays him for. In other words, is try your best, Brad, to make sure my star don't lose. Because when these fighters get into the losing column, their stock drop. And guess what happens when a fighter stock drops in this business? The promoter has to pay more. Now, somebody's going to say, Manager Marty, why are you saying that? That makes absolutely no sense. Why would the promoter pay a fighter more if the fighter's stock dropped? Because the A side of the promotion is locked into a guaranteed contract. In other words, is this: if Bob Arum or Eddie Hearn or any other promoter has a fighter locked into a contract for a guaranteed purse, let's just hypothetically say $50,000. I'm just using that number. $50,000 to fight for 8 rounds, right? That's the A side. That's the promoter's golden goose. You're going to make $50,000 for fighting for 8 rounds. Okay, good. But now when the promoter has to find a reputable B side, the B side can make more money than the A side. Why? Because the A side is locked into a guaranteed contract. That means when I say guaranteed, I've already educated you all on this. I'm gonna do it again because some of y'all new to the channel. The guaranteed contract is the minimum and or maximum amount that the promoter is going to pay. In other words, it's never going to go, for that scenario, it's never going to go below $50,000 when this fighter competes, right? And it's never going to exceed $50,000, right? But the B side just got paid $75,000. Why? You know the B side going to take all this punishment. The B side is being overmatched. Why? To protect the promoter's A side. This is nothing personal, y'all. It's just business. That's all. It's just business. Okay? So now the promoter got to pay $50,000 just for that scenario. $75,000 for the B side, right? If math serves me correctly, that's $125,000. That's for one fight. We ain't talking about airfare for the fighter and their team on the A side and the B side, the food expense, the hotel expense, and then the rest of the fighters on the undercard. You know we got 6 fights on the undercard, A side and B. You see my point? Don't let me make a phone call. Don't let me call Ty DuBuff, who's the president, which is Bob Arum's. Some of y'all might not know that. That's Bob Arum's stepson. You remember how Carl King was Don King's stepson? Yeah, well, that's Ty DuBuff. Yeah, that's Bob Arum's stepson. That's like me calling the president of Top Rank and say, look, I see y'all having a, hey, Todd, I see y'all having a fight on August the 3rd. I want my fighter. Yeah. I'm managing, who naming the title? Tony Tone. I'm gonna use Tony Tone. Yeah, I'm managing Tony Tone. Yeah, what's his record? Oh, he about 8-0. He about 8-0, 7 knockouts. But I want him on the undercard. Yeah, I want him on the undercard. How much you gonna charge me? See, y'all missed that. Let me ask Ty DuBuff again. How much y'all gonna charge me? Y'all didn't know that? You ain't gonna find this nowhere else. Y'all didn't know that promoters charge managers slot fees? Y'all didn't know that? Okay, well, if my fighter, that my client, is a free agent and he's not signed under a promotional banner, how you think I'm gonna move my fighter? He's not signed to a promoter. How you think I'm gonna move him as a free agent to protect his interests? How you know? How you know I'm gonna move him? You know how I'm gonna move him? I gotta go in my wallet. That's how I'm gonna move him. I gotta pay the promoter to get a slot fee. I gotta pay the promoter to get him some exposure, get him some work, so we can keep moving on our own. You see my point? Y'all didn't know that? I know you didn't. Anybody else gonna tell you? Why not me? I told some of y'all that before, a year and a half ago, but I know y'all forgot. That's why I'm bringing a refresher course here for some of you. Yeah, I got to pay for that. Guess who got to pay for the medicals? You know, when he has to get a physical as a prerequisite to fight? Well, remember, he's not under a promotional banner. He's not locked into a guaranteed contract with promoter. Guess who got to pay for that? Me? His training expenses. Guess who got to pay for that? Me, the manager. And you telling me I can't get 20%? I'm already not going to make a profit until he wins a regional or a world title. You see my point? Most likely. You telling me I can't get 20? Or in this case, that Michael Moore talked about the maximum allowable amount, 33 1/3? Where they do that at? It's business. It's not personal. And here's the thing. Don't attorneys get paid 33 1/3? Most attorneys? And I'm talking about personal injury attorneys. You ever been in a car accident? I have. Let me sip my water again. I have. I'm going to save that because Michael Moore about to break something down about how the money get disseminated.
Manager bullshit with that 33 1/3, 20%. Let the fighter get at least some of his money. You know the breakdown back when I was fighting, which I think is fucking criminal. You got a calculator in front of you, right?
Yeah.
So say for instance, let's go like this. 10 million. Let's start at 10 million. After the fight is over, the check goes to the manager. I don't know what's in contract. The contract's a different story.
All right, let's stop right there because I was talking about the attorneys receiving 33 1/3, personal injury attorneys, right? Okay, all right. So let's get this straight. He said the check goes to the manager. In other words, the promoter write the check in the manager's name, right? Okay, cool. And then the manager go and say, okay, I'm gonna take my cut first, and then I'm gonna pay the fighter the rest based on our contractual obligation. Correct? Okay, great. Quick question. When you are injured in an automobile accident in the country of the United States, doesn't the check go to the attorney from the insurance company? Hopefully the person did have insurance. Most likely they do. Don't the check from the insurance company get written out to the attorney who represented the motorist who was injured? And then the attorney take out their fees, right? And then they give the motorist who was injured the rest. Am I saying that properly? Because the attorney has to pay the physical therapist, the chiropractor, the hospital for the MRI, the hospital for the emergency room visit, right? And then they pay after all, they take they cut, they pay the expenses, then they pay the. Isn't that how it goes? I'm just asking a question. Isn't that how it goes? Okay then. So why, when it comes to boxing, it's effing terrible? It's effing criminal. I'm just asking the question. That's all. Okay.
So the manager takes his 33 and a third.
That, as he should.
The promoter takes 25 and the trainer takes 10. So that's 68 and a third %. It's almost 69.
Mhm.
Now, what is the manager's job? It varies.
All right, let's stop right there. This is Michael Moore, the first Southpaw heavyweight champion of the world in the sport of boxing. He's entering into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, and he's basically talking about how, well, he said, I'm broke. Not me, himself. He said he's broke. And a lot of boxers always become broke after they retire and they're homeless and all of that. And I'm providing the business aspect so we can see how this happens and how much these fighters get paid and all of those things, right? So Michael Moore used the term, let's start with 10 million. $10 million is nothing to sneeze at, man. So if somebody's getting 30% of 10 million, they're getting 3 million or 3.3 million, right? If somebody's getting, I don't want to do the math on this all night, but my point is somebody getting 25%. We can all do the math together. My point is saying that's another 1.5 million, right? So this is my point. You start at 10 million. After it's all said and done, you walking away with probably like 5 mil. If you go 12 rounds, that's 36 minutes. You know how long it's going to take an average American worker with a $50,000 a year salary for the next 30 years? They're going to gross 1.5 million. Let's do the math on it. I've already done it. I've already done this like 2 years ago. Average American citizen working a 9 to 5 on salary, $50,000 a year, will take 30 years to accumulate and gross 1.5 million. But you just grossed 5 million. Well, you grossed 10 million. And after all your deductions and expenses, you walked away with 5 million in 36 minutes of work. This person put in 30 years of work and only grossed 1.5 million. You put in 36 minutes of work, You grossed 10 and came out with 5 million. Whew. What I'm saying is, that's nothing to sneeze at. I was being very generous when I said 50,000 a year. I know the average is, they say 30 something thousand. I'm just being generous. I'm just saying, but even don't shoot. If you come down and say 30,000, that's even worse. Take them even longer to generate a 1.5 million. I see my brother in the chat. I haven't seen him in a long time. And I want to say right now, I got love for this brother. Double salute to him. I haven't seen him on the channel at all, but I see his name in the chat, and I got to give this brother a double salute. My guy, Anthony Key. What's up, Tony? Good to see you as the viewership is increasing exponentially. I'm just breaking down the business, Tone. Tone know me. Tone knows me. Y'all see him in the chat, Tony Key. That's my guy. That's my brother right there. You know what I mean? He knows how I am in the business. It's all about having integrity and educating people on how, fighters turn a broke And Tony knows we talk about this. Me and Tony always talk about this. You know what I mean? But I want to break down how they become broke, these fighters, after they retire, man. Because Michael Moore is talking about the percentages that come out of their purse, you know, and it's important. You know what I mean?
A manager, in my case, will set up a training camp. We'll bring all the sparring partners in. Then once training camp is over, Michael Moore pays for everything. Manager doesn't pay, promoter doesn't pay, trainer doesn't pay, Michael Moore pays.
Okay, let me stop you right there. And yes, I have to say this because this is important, because I see, like I said, Tony Key been with me from the bottom. Tony Key remember me from the beginning. That's my guy. Tony Key remember me from the beginning of my journey. You know what I mean? But he said that he paid for all of that, which was his manager's job. Remember, I told y'all earlier, the manager's supposed to pay for the training expenses of the fighters. So if Michael Moore paid for it, and I don't want to disrespect his manager because I don't know who he was back then, but that's not good business. If the manager imposed those expenses on Michael Moore, that wasn't right. That was done wrong. He was done poorly. The manager's responsibility is to pay. That's why the 25 or 30% is supposed to be recouped, because the manager put all the expenses up, meaning that they pay for, the manager pay for the expenses up front. And that's why when the purse gets paid for, we take our cut. You know what I mean? Because we put up all the money for the training camp before the fighter even threw a punch in the professional fight. You know what I mean? So that's how it works. It's like we put up the money first, then hopefully we like this with our fingers crossed. All right, I just put up 20,000. Or I just put up 10,000. What, man, I just put up 5,000. Well, hopefully I can get a profit after me taking 20 to 30% of this purse. And remember this. Let's put this in layman's terms, because we're looking at Michael Moore because he was the heavyweight champion of the world, and guys who fought on TV, and women who fought on TV, and women and men and professional boxers who hold the titles. What about the fighter that's only getting $3,000 for their purse? You see my point? And then the manager takes 20%. Okay, well, 20% of 3,000, isn't that $600? But the manager put up $2,000 for the training gear, sparring partners. You know what I mean? The fighter needed gas in his car to get to the gym to train. See, that's stuff y'all know about. A new mouthpiece, need new hand wraps. This is the stuff that y'all don't know about. Managers pay for. So if I put up $2,000 and I'm only getting $600 in the fighter next fight, let's do the math. Let's do the math. I'm already $1,400 in the hole. Am I making any sense here? I'm already $1,400 in the hole. That's not good business if I'm not making a profit. But guess what? I'm going to stick it out because I believe in this fighter. I believe. I have faith in this fighter. This fighter's training hard. This trainer dedicating his or her life to the craft. So there's a likelihood we're going to make this fighter a world champion. You know how long that's going to take me, man? You know how many $1,400, $1,200, $1,000 losses I got to keep taking? Hey, it's a risk involved in this thing here. So I know we listening from the fighter's perspective, but Michael Moore don't understand the business. That's why you need good representation. And what I always tell y'all, and y'all about to see it on merchandise all around the world, good representation is priceless. That's a quote that I invented. It's very simple. It's no big, Good representation in this business is priceless. So even though 25% or 30% or 33 to 30%, that might sound like a whole lot. But when you got good representation, can't put a price on the value of good representation. Not in this business. And Tony Key will tell you he understands this business better than me. This is a dog eat dog over here. This is a hard hustle. Boxing, professional boxing is a hard hustle. And so I'm going to say this with my glasses off. When you see a professional athlete, it don't matter if their record is 25 wins, no losses, and 23 knockouts, or if their record is 14 wins, 23 losses with 2 knockouts. Give them both the same respect. Because day in and day out, they make the sacrifices in training camp and in that ring to be professionals. Win, lose, or draw, when they go into that squared circle, give them the equal amount of respect. And give boxing managers and promoters the equal respect. Everybody's not crooked. But at the same time in the business, when we invest in money, our hard-earned money, we got to recoup on our initial investment and then do like this with our fingers crossed and then our hands together praying for a profit. It's nothing personal. It's just business. Because watch this. The fighter can't walk in that professional ring without a promoter involved. And shouldn't walk in that professional ring without a manager involved. But Michael Moore used the term 10 million. $10 million is nothing to sneeze at. If you can make that in 36 minutes. Listen, this is business. I'm going to wrap this thing up in a minute. We've been 2 hours. I'm going to wrap this thing up. I just want to finish this off because I got another point I want to break down for you all. And then, because I know I held y'all long, but I hope y'all learned something. I hope y'all learned something about the business and sport of boxing that you didn't know before you got here. All right?
Then we go to Destination Vegas. Michael Moore pays for a manager's room. Everything in the manager's room, everything in the trainer's room, everything in my room, everything in the promoter's room.
Let's stop right there because I done told y'all 3 months ago, or was it 4? I think it was 4 months ago. I done told y'all, and I put this on the screen, not here where we was on StreamYard. Some of y'all remember that. Remember I put on the screen for the sanctioning body, it was the WBC that I was, well, no, it was the WBA. It was the WBA. When I told you in their rules and regulations, it's the promoter's responsibility to incur the expense of all of the people that run the sanctioning body. Let's say the WBA, WBC, WBO, IBF, right? The promoter has to pay for their meals, have to pay for their hotel stay, and have to pay for their round trip. You remember that? That whole boy was here. You remember that? I told y'all about that. I showed y'all in writing the language and the regulations and rules of the sanctioning body. The promoter got to pay that. And guess what? The president of these sanctioning bodies, they're not coming alone now. You know, they got this dignitary, they got this executive, they got this assistant. It's like 4 people that come with them that the promoter got to pay. The promoter got to pay for all of that. And they sanctioning the bout and watch what happens. They going to get a 3% cut from the champion and a 2% cut from the challenger. So the promoter got to pay up too now. And don't let me bring up the ranking system where the promoter, but that's back in Michael Moore in them day. You remember when Don King, Cedric Kushner, and Bob Arum, they was cutting Bob Lee C and the rest of them checks to rank their fighters. Y'all remember that, right? All right. So if Michael Moore is saying that he had to pay for his room, his trainer room, I'm going to stop right there. If he had to pay that, once again, his representation did him a disservice because I showed y'all 2 weeks ago when I was proving a point about when she tried to say that she paid for my flight, and I showed y'all the language in a contract from a fighter that I was managing. I didn't show y'all his name. I didn't show y'all any of that. I just showed y'all the bottom portion where it talked about how many tickets, airfare tickets, and hotel. Remember y'all seen that, right? Hotel rooms and per diems that the promoter's responsible to pay for. Remember, for the fighter, the trainer, the cut man, and it's usually 4 or 5 tickets, right? And hotel rooms, right? That the promoter had to pay for up front, right? I told y'all that, right? Okay, now, so if Michael Moore had to pay for his own room and his trainer, when his contract said that the promoter's supposed to pay for it, he got done dirty. I'm telling y'all straight up, I showed y'all the language. This is all standard in boxing. He was done dirty. So just because he was done dirty in his experience, don't mean that the whole business is like that. But if you don't know the side that I'm presenting to you, that I'm educating you on, you'll listen to Michael Moore and say, oh my God, all these fighters that we see is like that. No, they're not. Their promoters are doing them well. Their managers are doing them well most of the time. It's not always like with that's his experience. You know what I mean? He was done wrong. If he had to pay for his own hotel room, he's competing in a championship fight or a fight in general. Oh, he was done dirty. His representation was trash. No disrespect. Oh, you're supposed to say, oh, this is 2024? Respectfully. You're supposed to say something disrespectful and condescending and then say respectfully after. Okay, I get it. But because I'm not being disrespectful or condescending, I don't have to say respectfully. That wasn't good representation. We need answers.
That's criminal shit. Back then, I was probably paying 39% tax, 38, 39%. They give you money to keep you quiet, to keep you settled, so you don't talk about all the big money that they got from you.
I don't know how true that is, but I will say I don't think nobody's paying nobody. Well, listen, whoever's paying people off to stop talking, man, I ain't get an offer yet. Cause I've been doing a whole lot of talking on YouTube. Haven't I? Man, ain't nobody offered me no bag yet. Just shut up and stop talking. Look, let me tell you about recouping initial investment. According to what I see right here, let me look at this. Man, YouTube said I only got 3 cash apps and made $10.98. Super chat. Not cash app, super chat. I made $10.98. Now, since Michael Moore talking about this, let's do the math on my channel. I'm a struggling artist and said I was broke. Let's go down the broke road. I only generated $10.98 and I done gave y'all $100,000 worth of gain. I was about to say $1 million, but I didn't want to get sued. $10.98 in super chats. How many cash apps I got? None. Okay, cool. So let's do the math on me now. So I done invested almost 2.5 hours of my time, which is the most valuable asset that any of us can invest in. I done paid my StreamYard bill, my YouTube premium bill. That like $70 right there. I done paid my Canva bill for the, you know how I do the thumbnails. And then my Pixar, what's the name of that other app I use? Pixamasters or something to take the picture out of the original frame and then place it over there. Then I got to edit it. That's another subscription. Man, I got all these. Then my cell phone bill. Then I got the big Wi-Fi in the joint. Man, I'm paying a whole bunch of money every month. How much I get tonight? $10.98 for 3 super chats. Lord have mercy. And I done gave out $100,000 worth of game. Lord have mercy. I'm in the wrong business. Can I get some initial investment? Can I recoup on my initial? Can I recoup on my initial investment? Dang. Can somebody show a brother love? You know they say I'm broke. You got another content creator that told y'all in December, I live in a linen closet with mothballs in it. Look, Victor Conti said I was homeless. Can y'all help me, please? Help me, please. I'm broke. I done gave you $100,000 worth of game. Got 3 super chats, $10.98. Half of y'all ain't even click the like button. I ain't get a cash app yet. And watch this. Out of the $10.98, YouTube, they gonna take 30%. Hey, Michael Moore, I know how you feel when you talk about somebody taking 30%. Hey, what's 30% of $11, Lucky? Man, wait a minute. What's 30% of 11? I know 30% of 10 is $3. Man, I probably only, man, YouTube gonna take like $4 out of that little 1098. And then, you know, I ain't even got one app or streaming service that's going to help me pay that 1098. My Netflix bill higher than that 1098. Man, you know what I'm going to do in the morning? I'm going to take this watch and pawn it. I'm going to take this ring that I got as an honoree at a banquet. This is boxing. This is my boxing ring. Man, I got to pawn this. I'm broker than Michael Moore. Man, I got 1098. And somebody sent me a heart emoji. Send me some money. Don't send me no heart emoji over the, man, send me some bread, man. You might as well do it. Somebody in the chat said, I love my audience. Somebody in the chat said, you might as well DoorDash while you going live. You know what? I don't have the time to be doing all that DoorDash. But you know what? I might think about that. I'm going to start DoorDashing while I'm going live. No, man, listen, I love what I do, y'all. I'm just making light of it. I appreciate everybody that donated and contributed to the channel all the time. I'm just joking about it. We talking about money. I don't do this for money. It does help though. Please support a brother. Okay? But no, I don't do this for the money, man. I love this sport. I'm passionate about teaching. I have a gift of teaching everybody, not just in boxing, but in general. But basically, what I'm just saying is, Michael Moore just said, and I gotta go. I'm gonna let y'all go with this. Don't start that, Lucky. Somebody call me, or they're gonna start calling me DoorDash Marty. Stop! I ain't never worked a DoorDash because DoorDash is 1099. I not do 1099. They make you pay 15.3% in self-employment tax. I don't want to do 1099. And this is what I want to break down. What Michael Moore said, he paid 39% of his purses to the IRS, to Uncle Sam. But you know why? Because he didn't know how to do what I told Wilder to do last week. You got to learn how to protect your assets. That's what I did with my clients, or at least tried to do with the ones that I couldn't do it with. And I'm talking about my clients when I was actively boxing managing. Asset protection. See, Michael Moore, the Form 1099 self-employee, had to pay 39% in taxes. But if he would have known somebody like me, if his management wouldn't have done him dirty, guess what? Michael Moore Sports LLC wouldn't have to pay 39% in taxes. Now, this is the tax practitioner in me coming out. Here's the thing. You are the business and the business is you when you are a Form 1099 self-employee. But when you set up a business entity, you're taxed extremely different, okay? So this is for all fighters, all athletes, but particularly professional boxers under the sound of my voice. Listen to me right now. And if you need help with that, send me an email. I'll help you. Or anybody watching me live. You don't have to be a professional boxer. Anybody. I'll help any of you. Y'all know my email address. I'm very accessible. The point I'm making is this. When you want to have asset protection to reduce your tax liability, you have to create a business entity and you have to operate in that entity. Okay? Because this is how you pay taxes when you are Form 1099 and self-employee. You pay taxes on all of the revenue that you gained, right? But watch this. When you have asset protection and you create a business entity and you operate legally in that business entity, you don't have to pay taxes on all of your revenue. I'm gonna break something down for you because I'm doing classes on this real soon, so y'all know. Paid classes. I can't keep doing this 1098. I'm talking about 1099 and I only got 1098 tonight, so we got to get them numbers up. So, but no, seriously, my point is this. When you create the business entity, you pay yourself first. Then you pay your expenses second. And then you pay your taxes. But when you are a Form 1099 self-employee, you have to pay your taxes first, then pay your expenses, and then pay yourself. And that's why everything Manager Marty does is under the business entity. I ain't did nothing in my personal name for over 7 years. I don't even have a checking account with my personal name on it. I bank different. I'm gonna teach y'all how to do that when I bring these courses up. I'm actually working on putting courses together because I'm all about financial literacy, right? Something that most fighters don't have, which is going to close out my show today. So Michael Moore and all of the professional boxers who are broke, who are poor, and who are homeless, or who are not where they want to be in life financially. It's not because of the managers like me. It's not because of the promoters. It's not because of the matchmakers. It's not because of any person that has made money or recoup or didn't recoup on their investment with them as fighters. Nope. Guess who is at fault? Yes, I said it. The professional boxer, the professional baseball player, the professional basketball player, the professional football player, the professional tennis player, the professional hockey player, any other professional, the actor, the recording artist, whoever is a Form 1099 self-employee in professional sports. Your biggest expense is taxes. So you didn't add asset protection or create a business entity to help you resolve that. And not only that, with that being said, you don't know how to manage and budget your finances. This is why I'm bringing out courses in the next couple of months. Y'all, I'm going to keep promoting it. All right, I'm just bringing it up to you all now. And it's not just for professional boxers. You know, I'm licensed. I'm so certified. It's for everybody. What I'm saying is Michael Moore and the rest of them are poor and broke because of lack of financial intelligence that stems from lack of financial literacy, not knowing how to budget and manage your finances, not knowing how to save, not knowing how to invest. That's the reason why. I'm just keeping it 100. I mean, I would love to blame all the promoters and stuff. I would love to blame the managers. Oh, my financial advisor. Oh, man, my accountant. I love to blame all these people. If you don't know how to manage $20, you're not going to know how to manage $200. If you don't know how to budget and manage off of $200, you're not going to be able to learn how to budget and manage off of $2,000. And the list goes on and on, 20,000, 200,000 to 2 million. There's a spiritual principle with that. If you're faithful in a few things, God will make you a ruler over many things. And so when I financially coach a client or a prospective client, in the consultation, I always ask these two questions. I was just telling my homie this, my good friend, my brother this earlier. There's two questions I always ask, and I'm going to ask the audience and leave y'all all with this. What is your attitude toward money? And what is your appetite for money? That's the credit specialist talking, the financial coach in me talking. And that's all I'm asking. Ask yourself that. That's my homework assignment for everybody watching me live and living in color and on the replay of this live. Ask yourself, if you have any money issues when it comes to budgeting, man, it don't matter how much money you got. It could be a little bit, a lot. That's not important. The principles that I can help you, it will help if you only got a little bit of money or you got a lot of money. The principles are still the same. And I'll help you apply it. I'm accessible. Email me. Reach out to me if you need help. But the bottom line is ask yourself them two questions. You might not want help. I'm cool with that. But ask yourself the two questions. What is your attitude toward money? And what is your appetite for money? Man, I don't even know how we even got on that. But the bottom line is I like helping and empowering people. And I hope y'all learned something about the sport and the business of boxing that you did not know before you got here today, because you ain't going to hear that nowhere else. Keep replaying this too. Keep replaying. You might have missed something earlier. Keep replaying this because I want y'all to learn. I want you all to learn. And guess what? When you learn everything that I just said, we will all have a greater appreciation for our fellow boxers, irregardless of who they fight and when they fight. All the boxers deserve to be supported. Because remember, when they go in that ring, they are not the same when they come out. I did way too much talking. Don't take my word for it.